Hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are today. I'm Lori Gebert with Asset View, and we're excited today to host a webinar regarding utilizing robotics and RFID in your environment. I've been really excited about doing this particular webinar. I think robotics is a hot topic along with AI and everything else that we kind of have going on these days. So I'm really excited to introduce the guest that we've got here today. I've got Andrea Hamdani. He's with PAL Robotics, actually out of Barcelona. And I want to say thank you so much, for joining us today. He's focused on working with logistic business units to communicate and commercialize RFID. Robotics is a fundamental asset, for retailers, data centers, warehouses, and businesses across the globe. And I'm really excited for him to present what they've got going on today. I think you guys are going to find it really fascinating. I know I do. And I think it's a great, opportunity for many businesses to streamline kind of what they're doing now. So without further ado, Andre, turn it over to you.
Hi to everybody. Thank you, Lori, for your introduction. Well, as she said, my name is Andrea Hamdani, and I work for PAL Robotics. And the focus of today's webinar will be to uncover the role of RFID robotics for asset tracking in data centers. Okay. I work in the marketing department of PAL Robotics, and we are a robotic manufacturing company active globally with HQ in Barcelona in Spain and with offices in France and Italy. With over 20 years of experience in robotic research and development and manufacturing, we are committed to innovation and excellence. And we have translated this commitment to innovation and excellence into our work ethic and into the work of our three business units, which I'm going to very quickly present now. We have the mobile interaction business unit, which is aimed for business and for research, which covers from right to left the mobile manipulators Tiago Pro and Tiago, and the AI service robot Ari. And then we have the LEG business unit, which is aimed primarily for research for university institutions and other centers, with the humanoids robot from right to left again, Talos, Kangaroo, and RIMC. And finally, the focus of this webinar, the intralogistic business unit, which consists of three mobile bases from right to left, Aran, Tiago Omni Base, and Tiago Base for the automation of the good transportation and delivery, and the RFID autonomous solution and inventory robot Stockbot. Stockbot is going to be the focus of this webinar because it's a solution, it's an inventory robot and also an asset tracking solution that since its conception was devised to operate autonomously. This means it navigates on its own, it operates on its own, doing what exactly? Well, it automates the process of inventory management by automating the tracking of assets within warehouses, within stores, and in this case, it's for data centers, and it collects data. This data are information about the items, about the position, about the quality of the items, and its main focus is very swift to be set up within a day. It doesn't need to adapt to you do not need to modify your working environment because the robot adapts to whatever layout you might have, and it integrates to any existing inventory management system and ERP. Since its conception, the Stockbot integrates RFID technology. As you can see, it integrates 8 RFID antennas, 4 for each size, and 2 RFID readers, 1 for each size. This is because RFID technology was at the core of the robot design since the beginning, and it means increased accuracy, a more timely tracking, and simultaneous multiple scanning in time compared to traditional inventory management methods. This means it's way more efficient and way faster. In addition, as you can see, the only external accessory that comes with Stockbot is the dock station. The dock station is part of the operational design that lies behind Stockbot because it means that the robot, after working autonomously, goes to the dock station and recharges, ready to start again the next day or the next set of tasks that you have assigned to the robot. Stockbot has been developed continuously for the past 10 years since the first concept was developed in 2014. And in the span of these 10 years, it has been upgraded, it has been modified and constantly improved to integrate customer feedback, to integrate new emerging technologies, to integrate new ideas that have arisen from our work. And as you can see, it has also grown to be applied to a wide array of applications, from fashion and clothing stores to supermarkets, to beauty stores, bookstores, industries, warehouses, and finally also data centers. At the moment, Stockbot is active in 14 countries across 44 continents. And the very core of a Stockbot value proposition, the key, is its workflow. In other words, Stockbot streamlines the inventory management with a very precise workflow, because once it has been set up, it autonomously maps the environment, whatever the layout you might have, adapting to even the most dynamic, to even the most complex and large working environments. Then the users, who is in control of the robot, set the path and the areas for comprehensive coverage. The idea is that once Stockbot has been set up and the path and area set, it navigates and operates autonomously, navigating the environment, avoiding the obstacles thanks to the camera that he has installed, and covering the designated area with an extensive efficiency, tracking the assets. And thanks to the Wi-Fi 6 connection, Stockbot then processes and transmits the data into the system. And at the end of the day, once the task is done, once the inventory has been tracked, it goes back to the power station that we just saw to recharge, thanks to its power management functionalities. The process of getting started, of setting up Stockbot, is quite swift because it is done within a day. You can start moving Stockbot with your remote control with the iPad, and Stockbot can map any environment by itself, and then you can set the path, also called highways, when we want to call them this way, and the areas to ensure like the most comprehensive coverage of your working areas. Once this area has been set and once the queue of tasks has been assigned, Stockbot start working right away. And at the end of this task, it goes back to the dock station to recharge, ready to start the next day again. Now, when we developed Stockbot and we adapted to the concept of data centers, we had in mind a number of challenges that data centers face within the realm of inventory management. To number them is the need for a more efficient and accurate inventory, the increasing cost of inventory checks, the complexity of managing a large database such as the one pertaining to data centers, the need for a more frequent inventory that is dictated by the business needs, and finally, the difficulty in tracking assets across large facilities such as often our data centers. With these challenges in mind, we set up Stockbot and its operational philosophy to address these challenges. The main value proposition is that it works autonomously. It means that Stockbot can navigate, can operate, can track asset and collect data, most of all, completely autonomously for up to 12 hours of continuous service, and then it goes back to recharge. Secondly, Stockbot is designed for operational efficiency. That was one of the most important concepts that we had in mind when we started planning and designing Stockbot. It means that it provides better data, more accurate data, and it does inventory management cheaply and faster than other traditional methods. Third point is that the application of the latest RFID technology, which we keep updating and constantly improving, provides also like the best reception, the best data, and the most accurate service that you can get like for inventory management. In addition, Stockbot during the process, not at the end of the process, works offline. And this means that it adds another layer of security and confidentiality to the data processing. Then Stockbot can be easily integrated to any software and ERP that your company might have. And its workings means the automation of inventory management means that the automated data records support the compliance with industry standards and regulation, ensuring that there are no problems with the verification process, and simplifying the auditing process itself. In addition, therefore, this means that when you integrate these two technologies, the hardware on one side, Stockbot, and the software on the other side, AssetView, you get a platform that can improve significantly the inventory management of your business, of your data center. Finally, Stockbot comes with a very handy tool, which is the Web GUI, which means is a tool conceived like to give the user the most extensive control with the easiest interface. In fact, it's a perfect tool, really, because it's compatible with most modern devices. It's user-friendly in its interface, as you can see from the screen, and it provides advanced settings for the control of the robots to the users. In addition, For example, like here, you have control. You have at one glance, you have the emergency button status. You have the dock station. You can see the battery level. You can check and change the navigation mode. Or, for example, with a building management function, you can add, delete, update, or manage like your maps, your buildings, your facilities, or your floors, all within one instrument. So even the most complex, even the most challenging of environments is easily managed. And finally, you have access to the database of results, to a comprehensive database with access in real time, all in one tool. This means that all the historic data that you have gathered with Stockbot, with all the inventory data and audit, is entirely there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. That was excellent overview. I know that was really informative and really helpful. If anybody has any questions, please feel to pop them in the chat there. I had a couple things for you, Andrea, as you were talking. I just wanted to kind of, chat with you about. So, if I, after seeing this presentation, I see the StockBot and I'm really excited about it. How does that process usually start? Like, if I'm interested, I'd like to kind of talk to you guys. What information do you kind of need typically, from a potential new customer, and what kind of information should I have with you? What kind of questions are you going to ask me? How should I prepare? If I'm ready to do this.
Well, the most relevant information that we would need is, first of all, the type of application that you would need. So the type of items that you need to scan, the type of assets that you have in your warehouse or in your facilities. Secondly, it's important to know whether you're already using RFID or whether you're already considering RFID, whether you are in the condition of implementing RFID. This depends. There are many scenarios. Mm-hmm. And third, the process itself starts like after a call to know each other, after a call to examine your business and the way we can improve the way it works, your process management, your inventory management at the moment. Mm-hmm. We set up a pilot. To understand like how we can first improve, and then we have a demonstration of the robot to the way it works.
Okay, great. Excellent. How long does that whole kind of process typically take, or does it really vary, or?
Well, generally it varies. Obviously, it depends on the type of business. It depends also like on the geographic location, because of course, being based in Europe, it takes longer on some sides. Usually, I would say a few weeks, depending also on the complexity of the scenario.
Okay, excellent. That's great to know. And then kind of on the mapping portion, I thought was really interesting. And I think you mentioned something how it's kind of will teach itself, the mapping portion. Was that correct? Like how can you explain that a little bit more, just kind of how that part works? Because I thought that was interesting.
Well, thanks to the cameras, the StockBot has on top, the robot can navigate. Basically, it means that if you drop the robot in an unmapped environment, an environment that is unfamiliar with, the robot starts navigates and it starts mapping using the cameras and the laser, like to maps to detect obstacles, to understand the situation, to understand the layout, of the facility, and keep constantly updating these maps and reworking them so that it can update. And then you can obviously on your own, you can also update them. You can also map the environment by yourself, like you can control the robot if the need arises. Okay. But technically, the robot can map an environment by itself.
Okay. So if like you see your point, since it has a camera, if you drop it in a new environment, it can detect those obstacles. It can see those things.
Indeed. And then you can build on this function, because you can add, for example, point of interest. You can tell the robot, I want this area covered first. So even if you have like 10% of the battery first, the most priority this area, I want you to go across this path or highway, how we prefer to call them. Mm-hmm. And depending on your needs, really, you can set, I want this floor covered like, I don't know, 2 times a day. I want this floor covered only once a week. Depending on your need, the robot adapts. You can set the task with the web GUI, and it's very easy. It's designed like to be as user-friendly as possible.
Awesome. Yeah. And then, we talked about the charging station. Obviously, it needs to charge for a period of time. What's kind of like the battery life? How long, can it go between charges? Is it have like
the operational is 8 hours.
8 hours. Okay. All right. So it can basically run for 8 hours before needing to recharge.
Yes.
Yeah. And how long does the charging part take? Just kind of out of curiosity.
Up to 4 hours usually.
Up to 4 hours. Okay. Excellent. That's great. I mean, I can, I know I was excited when we were talking about this because we work with a lot of data center operations, and no one likes to do audits and inventories. They're just really time consuming, and you pull all of your team off, right, to do
Indeed.
these. And so, the fact that you could have a stackbot, option that could just go out, set that routine, that schedule. Some of the operators we talk to have to do it, 4 times a year, sometimes much more frequently than that, sometimes once a month. And you're talking about thousands of assets that has to be accounted for. It's really, really a time-consuming task. And I think this can be like a huge cost savings. For I'm sure you've seen it in a variety of industries. That you've rolled it out in. Data centers obviously one, and I know you've done some other work in kind of retail environments, right, and warehousing and things like that.
With, for example, the biggest implementation that we have so far is with Decathlon, which is a worldwide known retailers, is a French retailers, and is one of our most important clients, which you can also see like on our website, and I can pass the information, of course.
Yeah.
Stockport was noticed like in the implementation, for example, like in Singapore, that it saved thousands of man hours of work, because essentially it does a task that it's as you said, literally very time consuming. It does it in way faster times. Stockbot, in more or less in an hour, circa, it can cover 1 kilometer square, 1,000 meters square. So that means like 0.6 miles square of the area. And this means that not only it's not just the cost of the people working and the time, it's also that all those people that you are normally have employed doing like this manual inventory, they can be employed like in way better tasks. Like, for example, in the case of our retailers, for like more profitable tasks, like talking to clients, helping them, or even doing other things that are way more profitable than just doing the inventory manually, with besides all the manual human errors that are connected with the human inventory taking.
Yeah, absolutely. With the retailer you just mentioned, what was kind of their main pain point? What kind of brought them, to you guys? Was it just that inventory and counting, or was there something, like in particular that brought them there?
It was two things. First of all, it was this idea of automating. Also because, as you can imagine, like Decathlon is also a huge store, so they are more, as you can say, like open to trial. They are more open to new technologies, and they were interested also in implementing RFID. So the combination of these two things sped up the adoption. Once they started automating the inventory management, they started our partnership deepened, and they were more interested in the collecting data part. The collection of data in their cases can be summarized in two things. The first and foremost is the item positioning, as we call it. That means that you know where the items are. Stockbot does the inventory, even with clients. Sometimes you can see in some videos that there are actually clients walking around. And the data that are collected and then are sent to the system of the retailer, of Decathlon, through codes called EPC, that only the retailer, of course, can read. We cannot. It tells them not only what they have in the shop floor and in the warehouse, allowing also to distinguish between what they have in warehouse and what they have in the store, which normally is done like with painting, like with lead painting, which is one is very expensive, and two is it needs constant renovation. With Stockbot, you do not need to paint, because Stockbot automatically distinguish what is in your warehouse and what is on the shop floor, and not only what you have, but also where it is. So you can also understand. And from this function, there is a second point of value, which is the money mapping. The fact is that Stockbot allows you, with this data, to understand, to see which areas are the most profitable, like which areas sell the most, which areas, like for example, in which you have done this testing, this positioning, depending on each case, of course. But you can test, and based on the data that Stockbot provides, that collects, because it does it as part of its function, you can also create your own money map. So you know that an area is more profitable, an area is better, or is simply more useful for the task of selling.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, obviously, we're focused on data centers today, but I mean, there's so many opportunities, I would think, for technology like this. And, for any of our audience that's out there, if you're not in a data center, that's okay. We're always happy to talk about, what your use case is, and what you're looking to inventory and save man hours on. We're here to help you for that. There's one other thing. I made another quick note, I guess, because one of the things I did want to actually just ask, and obviously I'm glad you used, but you mentioned RFID, was something that you guys honed in on early, when you were, creating the stockbot. What was the reason RFID in particular was something that you wanted to implement, into the creation of stockbot in particular?
Why we chose RFID?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, to begin with, is a fairly reliable technology that has been developing quite steadily. I mean, 20 years ago, you had readers, manual handheld readers, and then it developed like with sealing and stuff.
Yeah.
And is growing. Like the adoption of RFID is growing increasingly, even for smaller businesses that normally you would say do not have the time or the resources, is becoming more popular, if you want to use that word. And it's a very versatile technology, which is why it went from handheld readers to automatic readers to sealing, and then why we chose to implement it on a robot, because the idea was to keep improving, keep adapting. Yeah. And so it was the start from the get-go to implement the RFID. For the version RFID version. Yeah.
No, I would agree. We see the same thing on our side, so we use it as our primary solution as well. Absolutely. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat here, so I will kind of wrap us up here. But I want to thank Andrea so much for sharing today. It was an excellent presentation. I think it's extremely interesting, and I hope to work on many projects with you. For any audience out there, please feel free. We'll be sending a follow-up email after this. We'll have contact information. I'll be happy to talk to you about implementing this kind of a solution in your environment. Obviously on the asset view side, if there's any questions I can ask on the view software side and how our inventory system works on the software side, I'm happy to connect into a review and consultation of any of the inventory systems currently. But again, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to the audience for attending today, and we look forward to speaking with all of you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.